Scene script. Have you ever wondered why Jesus, despite being betrayed, denied, and crucified, still loved his enemies? It's a question that puzzles many, but when we explore the life of Jesus, we begin to understand his unique perspective on love. Unconditional love. It's a concept that seems almost alien in our world today, where love often comes with conditions, with expectations, with strings attached. But Jesus, he offered a different kind of love, a love that was boundless, limitless, and yes, unconditional. This love was not reserved for those who loved him back or for those who followed him. No, it was extended to everyone, even those who wronged him, even those who betrayed him. It was a love that saw past the flaws, past the mistakes, and looked instead at the soul within. Throughout his life, Jesus demonstrated this love in countless ways. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, and comforted the distressed. He forgave those who sinned against him time and time again, and he taught his followers to do the same. But perhaps the most poignant demonstration of this love was when he was hanging on the cross, moments from death. Even then, he found it within himself to forgive those who had nailed him there, uttering the words, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." That, my friends, is the epitome of unconditional love. Yet it's not just about the actions of Jesus. His teachings, too, echoed this sentiment. He taught us to love our enemies, to bless those who curse us, to do good to those who hate us, and to pray for those who mistreat us. He challenged us to love without reservation, without limit, and without condition. But to truly understand this, we need to delve into the life of Jesus, tracing his footsteps. Only then can we fully comprehend the depth and breadth of his unconditional love and perhaps learn to love a little more like Jesus did. In the beginning, there was a child born in Bethlehem destined to change the world. This child was Jesus, a figure whose teachings on love and forgiveness would come to be revered by many. Even as a young lad, he demonstrated an uncanny wisdom and a heart full of compassion that set him apart from others his age. Imagine, if you will, the dusty streets of Nazareth, where Jesus spent his formative years. In this humble setting, the foundation for his teachings was laid. Here he championed the notion of love, not just for the people who were kind to him or for those who shared his beliefs, but for everyone, including those who were considered sinners or enemies. One such instance that stands out is his interaction with Zacchaeus, a tax collector despised by many for his dishonest ways. Instead of shunning him, Jesus chose to dine with him, showing love and kindness where others showed scorn and hatred. This was a clear demonstration of his belief in the power of love to transform hearts and lives. In the same vein, he taught his followers to turn the other cheek, to forgive those who wronged them, and to love their enemies. Such teachings were revolutionary, especially in a society where an eye for an eye was the accepted norm. His teachings were not just words. He lived them out in his daily interactions, showing kindness and forgiveness where others would have shown animosity. Perhaps one of the most poignant examples of his teachings is the story of the woman caught in adultery. When the crowd was ready to stone her, Jesus stepped in, offering forgiveness instead of condemnation. It was a powerful testament to his belief in love and forgiveness, even for those who had strayed. Even in his early years, Jesus preached love and forgiveness, paving the way for his later actions. His teachings and actions were a testament to his belief in the transformative power of love, a belief that would later be cemented by his ultimate act of love and sacrifice. As Jesus began his ministry, his message of love and forgiveness became even more profound. In the early days of his ministry, Jesus walked among the people. He taught in synagogues, in homes, and in the open air. His words were simple, yet filled with a profound truth that resonated with those who heard him. His message was one of love, acceptance, and forgiveness, reaching out to all, including those who opposed him. Take, for instance, the Pharisees. These were the religious leaders of the day, the keepers of the law. They were powerful and respected, but they were also rigid in their beliefs and often clashed with Jesus. Yet even in the face of their opposition, Jesus extended love and forgiveness. He invited them to change their ways, to embrace the new covenant of love he was offering. Another instance that stands out is the forgiveness of the adulterous woman. According to the law of the time, she should have been stoned. But Jesus, in his infinite mercy, forgave her, saying, "He who is without sin among you, let him be the first to throw a stone at her." The crowd, confronted by their own sinfulness, dispersed, and the woman was spared. Throughout his ministry, Jesus consistently extended his love and forgiveness to those who opposed him, to those who sinned, and even to those who betrayed him. He taught that all are worthy of love, all are worthy of forgiveness. He taught us to love our enemies, to do good to those who hate us, to bless those who curse us, to pray for those who mistreat us. This was not a passive love, but an active, intentional love. A love that seeks reconciliation, a love that offers forgiveness, a love that does not discriminate. This is the love that Jesus taught, the love that he lived, the love that he embodied. Throughout his ministry, Jesus' love for his enemies remained unwavering, but nowhere was this more evident than at the cross. On the cross, Jesus made the ultimate demonstration of his love for his enemies. In the twilight of his earthly journey, Jesus found himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, a place of tranquility soon to be marred by betrayal. Here he spent his final hours praying, and it was here that he was arrested by the Roman soldiers, led by Judas, one of his own disciples. Despite the bitter sting of betrayal, Jesus did not retaliate. His response instead was one of profound compassion. As one of the soldiers came forward to apprehend him, Peter, in a fit of rage, drew his sword and cut off the man's ear. But Jesus, even in that moment of high tension, healed the soldier's wound, demonstrating an undeniable example of love for his enemies. From Gethsemane, Jesus was taken to face a series of trials. Accused and condemned by those he had come to save, he was sentenced to the cross. And yet he bore his sentence with a quiet dignity, choosing not to defend himself, but rather to embrace his fate. As he hung on the cross, a symbol of disgrace and punishment, Jesus still carried a heart full of love. He looked at the crowd, at the faces of those who had scorned him, who had spat on him, who had called for his death, and he prayed for them. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Even in his final moments, with the weight of the world on his shoulders, Jesus chose forgiveness over resentment, love over hate. This was the ultimate sacrifice, a testament to the depth of his love for his enemies. His actions were a powerful demonstration of his teachings, a beacon of hope for all who would come after him. In his death, Jesus personified his teachings, showing love and forgiveness to his enemies till his very last breath. But why did Jesus love his enemies? Why go to such lengths to forgive those who wronged him? Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Jesus' teachings were filled with messages of love, forgiveness, and acceptance. He taught us to love our neighbors as ourselves and to forgive those who sin against us. But his love was not limited to friends and sympathizers. It extended even to his enemies. This wasn't just an act of kindness or a demonstration of moral superiority. It was a fundamental part of his mission on earth. You see, Jesus' love for his enemies was a real, tangible demonstration of the unconditional love that he preached. He didn't just talk about love, he lived it. He loved without conditions or boundaries, and he expected nothing less from us. He taught us that real love is not about loving those who love us, but about loving those who despise us, those who do harm to us. It's easy to love those who love us back, but it takes a great deal of courage and selflessness to love those who hurt us. But why would Jesus do this? Why would he love those who hated him, who plotted against him, who eventually led him to his death? He did so because he was here to set a new standard of love, a love that is not governed by human conditions, but by divine grace. He loved his enemies to show us that we too can love ours. He forgave those who crucified him to show us that we too can forgive those who hurt us. Jesus' love for his enemies was not a sign of weakness, but a testament to his strength. It was a testament to the power of love over hate, forgiveness over revenge, and mercy over judgment. It was a testament to the power of his message, a message that continues to resonate through the ages, reminding us of the transformative power of love. In loving his enemies, Jesus showed us the true meaning of unconditional love, a lesson that still resonates today.